Hey there everyone, it's CanDV here and I'm back with another video. Sometimes there are things in Pokemon that are just really strange and don't seem to make sense. I've done tons of videos on things that don't make sense to me in Pokemon, such as movesets, typings, and Pokedex entries. But sometimes strange things do have a logical explanation, but that doesn't mean that they turn heads any less. So today I am here with a special guest, being Dobbs. Just like me, Dobbs makes a ton of Pokemon videos like top 10s, Pokemon card openings, and gameplay videos. A couple of his videos that I would recommend would be his ones about unreleased Pokemon and the rarest Pokemon out there. And we've also done a collab over on his channel, being top 10 things in Pokemon you didn't realize as a kid. So be sure to check that out after you've watched this video. But today, the two of us are going to show you what we believe are 10 of the strangest things in Pokemon. Let's begin!
What's going on, guys? This is Dobbs here, and since we're doing strange things in Pokemon, I wanted to tell you who I thought was the strangest Pokemon of them all, and that is Wobbuffet. What if I told you the Wobbuffet that you think of is actually not Wobbuffet, and it was really a decoy, and the real Wobbuffet is harmless? Well, let's move back a little. If you look at Wobbuffet's body, it looks like a punching bag, and what happens when you punch a punching bag? It comes back at you. So it makes a lot of sense how Wobbuffet operates and fights in Pokemon battles, because it is impossible for Wobbuffet to do any damage without being hit first, unless you count Struggle. So basically, Wobbuffet is just a punching bag that is coming back at you with the same amount of power, if not more. So let's get back to the real Wobbuffet, the mastermind behind this brilliant decoy. The real Wobbuffet is actually the tail. The tail is the real Wobbuffet. That harmless tail just uses its entire body as a decoy and a punching bag when it sits there doing nothing, which is pretty awesome but strange at the same time.
Generation 4 was probably the most event-heavy generation. And no, I'm not talking about where you're just given event Pokemon by a delivery guy, but actual in-game events. There are tons in Generation 4, like Darkrai and the Members Pass, Shaman and Oak's Ladder, and the Creation Trio event, just to name a few. But there was one event that went completely unreleased, Arceus and the Azure Flute. The Azure Flute is an item that exists in-game and can be used to reveal the Hole of Origin in Spear Pillar, which is where you can find Arceus. But this event was never even released, so it's impossible to obtain an Arceus from the Hole of Origin without cheating in some way. In 2013, Junichi Masuda revealed that the Azure Flute wasn't distributed because it was thought to be too confusing for players to use. Which honestly doesn't make a lot of sense because the other events that take place in Generation 4 revolve around the same concept, taking a Pokemon or an item to a certain location which then activates an in-game event. Arceus itself was later released as an event, but it's not really the same. I guess we'll just have to wonder about the real reason why this event was never released.
Something else that's strange are Pokemon heights. They absolutely make no sense. Let's take Dunsparce for example. Dunsparce is the same height as Salamence, which is 4'11". Okay, Dunsparce, I know you want to be a dragon and all, but you are not 4'11", because that just makes no sense. But that's not the strangest. The strangest Pokemon height that I think is Furret. According to the Pokedex, Furret is 5'11". Guess how tall Charizard is? 5'7". Are you telling me this Furret is taller than Charizard? And no, we're not talking about the length of Furret, we're talking about how tall Furret is just standing on his feet. Very strange.
Azurill can change gender upon evolving. As strange as this one sounds, it's completely true. From generations 3 until 5, every female Azurill had a 1 in 3 chance of changing gender upon evolution. This would be because the gender ratios for Azurill and its evolutions are not the same. Azurill has a gender ratio of 3 females to every male, whereas Marill and Azumarill's gender ratio is 50-50. This uneven ratio is what causes a third of all female Azurill to change gender when they evolve, because it evens out the ratio. Even though this quirk had been in place since Azurill's introduction in Generation 3, it wasn't even fixed until Generation 6 over a decade later. Strange, huh?
We all know that exclusive Pikachus can learn Surf. I know it's an electric mouse, but it has a mini surfboard, so it makes sense that it can surf. But what's really strange is the fact that Rhydon can learn Surf with absolutely nothing. It can swim in the water as a pure rock ground type. Like, why is that? That is so strange. And it's not only Rhydon. Nidoking, Nidoqueen, Tyranitar, Aggron, Rampardos, and Rhyperior can all learn Surf. I mean, the only reasonable explanation is that their armor is so strong that it can withstand water, but it's still very strange.
Something I've always found very strange would be the lack of a Safari Zone in Generation 2. The only reason given for this would be the sign outside of the Safari Zone that states that it's closed because the warden is away. Though there wouldn't have been an awful lot of point implementing this, as the Pokemon found in Kanto's Safari Zone can now be found throughout Kanto and Johto, such as Kangaskhan in Rock Tunnel or Rhyhorn in Victory Road. These are Pokemon that were exclusive to the Safari Zone, so there would be little point in having a Safari Zone filled with Pokemon that you can catch elsewhere, right? Well, you'd think that's all there is to it, but it isn't. Evidently, the Safari Zone actually was planned for Gold and Silver, as data does still exist in the game for it, even if it isn't accessible, complete with music and everything. Stranger still, the Safari Zone does still exist in Gold and Silver's remakes, even though it has less reason to. In these games, Kanto's Safari Zone is replaced with the cross-generation transfer system named Pal Park. With something existing in place of the Safari Zone, you wouldn't think that it would have a reason to return at all, but it actually did. It returned in a new area of Johto, better than ever, with tons of new features and a lot of variable Pokemon to try and catch. It's pretty much known as the best Safari Zone to date because you can catch so many different species of Pokemon. Even things like Riolu and Beldum can be found there. But anyway, I'll still never really understand why they decided to scrap the Safari Zone in Gold and Silver, and then distribute the Pokemon throughout Kanto and Johto instead, but at least the remakes made up for it.
One of the strangest things in Pokemon are the people in Pokemon games. They are probably the chillest people in any game you'll ever see. Well, for one, you could just walk into anybody's house, and they wouldn't care. Sometimes they'll give you something for free. Here, have this berry, or this TM. Thank you for just coming into my house. It's not like you're a burglar or anything. I trust you. I mean, like, in the second generation games, someone actually gives you their Pokemon to take care of while they go away. That poor Shuckle. And for two, if you beat someone in a Pokemon battle, they give you money, and sometimes their phone number, which is pretty cool if you ask me.
So admittedly, this is a point that I'm featuring because I had experience with it recently, having never heard of it before. There's this really wacky glitch in Generation 1 regarding the move Counter. Counter is a move that has lower priority, meaning that it normally goes last. This is because it waits for the opponent to make a specific move and then strikes back with twice the damage dealt by that move. Well, recently I did a Soul Link challenge with Your Fried Bread. A Soul Link is basically a Nuzlocke challenge with 2 people and some extra rules added in. Basically, if your Pokemon faints at all, then you can't use it anymore. But during this challenge, we lost a Pokemon to Counter under some very strange circumstances. The Pokemon had been switched out and hadn't made a move, but Counter still hit and took it out. This is because in Generation 1, there is a very strange counter glitch. If the player hovers over a move before switching out, then the game treats it as if the Pokemon has actually made that move, and then deals with appropriate damage. It was confusing for both myself and Brendan at the time, but I think this video would be a cool opportunity to shed a little light on what is definitely one of the lesser known Generation 1 glitches.
But let me tell you, if anything strange, it's definitely this. If you enter a certain building in Pokemon X and Y's Luminous City, the background music will stop, a flash will happen on the screen, and a creepy looking girl with no walk animation will float by you. And right before she disappears, she will always say that you're not the one. Now what does this mean? Who is the one? How can I be the one? Some people think you have to have a specific trainer ID to be the one. Also, another ghost girl appears in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, right before you battle Phoebe. It's probably not the same ghost girl from Pokemon X and Y, but it's still strange. Here, watch. Did you see it? Here, let's slow it down a bit. Very strange, huh? Hopefully one day we'll find out who these ghost girls are and who the one is. Maybe in Pokemon Sun and Moon we'll figure it out. Who knows? But regardless, this is probably the strangest thing in Pokemon ever.
Here is what is probably the most infamous breeding pair of them all, Wailord and Skitty. This cute little kitten can get it on with the largest Pokemon in the game. This would be because Skitty and Wailord are both part of the same egg group, being the Field egg group. As strange as it sounds, it actually makes sense because it's the largest egg group in the game. The vast majority of the Pokemon included being based on mammals, with a few exceptions. And that's right, this also means that Wailord can pair up with all Pokemon in this egg group, which can lead to some interesting pairings. Wailord and Sylveon, Wailord and Lopunny, Wailord and Pikachu? I feel like the majority of Pokemon Wailord can breed with produces a weird image, but Skitty is definitely one of the strangest. But that's just about it for today's video. Please do go on over ahead to Dobbs' channel and check out the collaboration that we did there too, being some of the things that you may not have realized in Pokemon when you were a kid. But for now, that's all for now from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!